Mabbutt has gone forward with Stewart to the right, Lineker and Howes to the left. Is Gascoigne going to have a crack? He is, you know. Oh, I say! Brilliant! That is schoolboy's own stuff. Oh, I bet even he can't believe it. Is there anything left from this man to surprise us? That was one of the finest free kicks that this stadium has ever seen.
Hello and welcome to episode 61 of Hitting the Bar, the football podcast. I'm Karle.
And I'm Geoff Saunders.
Before we get going, Geoff, your trivia question.
Okay, so one for the oldies this week. There are two reasons why the 1961 European Cup final is notable. What are they?
All right, we'll find out at the end of the show, as usual. So we've had an international break, Geoff, which we'll come to. Lots happened in that. But first of all, let's have a look back on the round of games that happened in the Premier League before that. The first one, I suppose, which may have surprised people at the start of the season. Everton 1, Manchester United 3. Just when you think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is about to get the sack, he pulls it out the bag. Or the sack, I suppose.
As predicted by me, that result. So yes, I think the bounce back was quite obviously going to happen. And everything that we've seen for the past few years suggests this is going to carry on. It will be a couple of very poor matches, then one good match. And the longer that carries on, the happier I'll be. Where are they at the moment? 14th. So, yeah, I'm happy.
Well, yeah, it does seem that just when you do think he's going to get the sack, something happens. However, there he is. They beat Everton, who've now on a bit of a slump. What's happened with Everton? Why? I mean, because they won their first, 3-4 games, top of the league, unbeaten, and then suddenly they've lost 3 in a row.
Well, the first reason, I think, is injuries. They had their best 3 players out for 2 matches, which might explain those results, and they don't have the strength and depth in the squad to overcome that. But I think also look at who they played. Maybe the opposition was easier and they're facing better opposition now. So, I don't think anybody got carried away with thinking that Everton were going to finish in the top 4. So, they are, as the current parlance has it, they are regressing to the mean.
Or as we've discussed on this show, they're finding their natural level, as you said. Yeah. The other strange score, the Saturday before, whenever it was, Crystal Palace 4, Leeds 1. Now, Crystal Palace, we've said before on this show and on our radio show for Global Radio, that Crystal Palace's main problem is that they can't score goals. And suddenly, they're putting 4 past a very good Leeds team.
A very good Leeds team that has conceded a lot of goals this season. 4 in their first match, wasn't it? Yeah, it's a surprise, Palace scoring so many goals in one match. Roy will not be happy. He'd rather those 4 goals came over 2 matches, and he won 2 matches, than winning 1-4-1 and losing the next one. But you can't choose, can you? So they played very well. Obviously, very, very well organised team, as you'd expect from a Hodgson team. They've got good players in defence. Just a surprise they managed to get 4 goals in one match.
Yeah, and then another team that got 4 goals in one match was Chelsea beating Sheffield United 4-1. A couple of things just that's happened recently is that Tony Pulis has now taken over Sheffield Wednesday and has said that they're a much bigger team than Sheffield United, and he'll prove it. But Sheffield United in big trouble now.
They are, yeah. I've been saying for a while they're too good to be down there, but I'm a West Ham supporter, and West Ham are still the best team ever to be relegated from the Premier League. Yeah. It doesn't protect you. You've got to score goals and you've got to win points, and they're not doing either of those things.
No, it is worrying, I think, for Sheffield United, and I can see them going down. Chelsea looking quite good. I mean, they've got some great new signings. You don't expect anything but that, I suppose. Your team, West Ham, playing the other team that are going to go down, Fulham. Did you get away with that a bit? Because there was a bit of controversy in the last minute or seconds of the game.
Yeah, I do think we got away with it. We were very, very lucky. The worst Panenka ever taken, probably, from the lad. It's one of those things. When they work, you look great, and when they don't, you look like an idiot, and he looks like an idiot. Because there was a point there for Fulham, and they need every point they can get. Yeah,
missing a penalty with the last kick of the game and trying to do something clever like a Panenka. These are not the times to show off. Your team is struggling. Tip to go down. You could have rescued a point there. So Scott Parker will have not been happy with that. He did come out with the usual platitudes. He's a young lad, he'll learn, which means you're coming in early to training, Sonny, and we'll be having a word in my office. Well, it is still his office, I suppose. Yeah, we could see him getting sacked. So that was West Ham 1, Fulham 0. One of the great games for me on Sunday was Tottenham beating West Brom, Harry Kane in the last few minutes of the game, and people coming out with the usual things that, these are the games that you look back on when you win the league. But you only do that if you have won the league. If you've come third or fourth, you don't look back on that one particular game. It's just another game in a series of 38.
Yeah, one of the things I remember Bob Paisley saying when Liverpool used to routinely win the league was they set out with a target to get enough points to avoid relegation. This was the team that won the league every year. Then you reset and you go for the next goal. I don't think anyone that's serious in football actually sets out with the target of winning the league. No, you win the next match. That's what you do.
Yeah, well, that's what Tottenham are doing. They are winning the next match. I mean, it wasn't pretty to watch. I didn't expect it to be. I think West Brom are probably very tough opposition despite their position in the league, and I was very happy that Tottenham, put in a shift and got away with it, or got the points. And we should have been happy that Man City and Liverpool played out what was a very, very poor draw, and De Bruyne missed a penalty as well, or had a penalty saved. Does that mean more for City than it does for Liverpool? Was that an away point 1 for Liverpool, or 2 points dropped? How does that work?
No, you have to view a point away at Manchester City as a point 1. I mean, it's just sensible, isn't it? If the match had been played at Anfield, then Klopp would have been unhappy. He wants to win. You want to win at home, and you should win more at home than away. A point Liverpool gained and 2 that City dropped.
All right, I mean, that was a great result for the other chasing pack. Tottenham, of course. Leicester beat Wolves. Southampton had already beaten Newcastle, so they were all swapping places, who goes top, who doesn't. But then the weirdest result of the day for me was Arsenal 0, Aston Villa 3. Now, I could see Aston Villa winning the game. I could understand that. But to actually lose at home 3-0 to Aston Villa just goes to show that all these people in the week running up to that were saying, yes, Arteta has made a difference. Just as the people were saying Solskjaer should be sacked.
Has the groundsman made a difference at Arsenal? Sort of. You can see some things he's trying to do differently. But the big issue for me with him is the quote that he gave. I didn't see my team out there. So as far as the groundsman is concerned, there's no I in the players are to blame. I mean, I think it's a shockingly bad thing to say. You either win together and lose together or go home, frankly. And the game plan for Arsenal seemed to me to be to work it through their talented wingers and then lump crosses to Tyrone Mings, because that's all they did. When it was obvious it wasn't working, at no point did they change it. Is that not what the manager's job is? Hang on, lads, this isn't working, we're going to make a change? No, and nothing. Again, as there's always nothing from him. He then went on to, his revolution. Oh, please spare me. His revolution would have gathered greater pace if the fans had been there during match days. Oh, spare me, please. I mean, it's just so Arsenal are the only team that don't have home fans there. Everyone hasn't got home fans there. Shut up. Try coaching your team a little bit.
Absolutely. I don't think I can add much to that. I will, because it's enjoyable. But this whole thing about let's not forget that fans of every football club are very fickle. One day you're a hero, the next day they want you out the club, all these things. But Arsenal fans are notorious for booing their own side at the end of games.
Yeah, but notorious for doing it when they're winning as well.
I mean, Arsenal Fan TV was a joy to watch after that result. I mean, they were beside themselves with vitriol and anger. But you shouldn't be losing at home to any team 3-0. And Aston Villa have got, and we're going to talk about him because he's absolutely phenomenal, Jack Grealish. They've got a couple of other very good players as well. Of course, Ross Barkley's doing very well there. Probably found his level. But you shouldn't lose 3-0 at home to Aston Villa.
You really shouldn't. But the Villa manager, Dean Smith, is putting together quite a decent side. And it isn't just Grealish, but they're playing well together. They're playing for each other, which I think that is down to Dean Smith. He's inculcated this team mentality there, where they'll die for each other. The so-called better, God knows why, managers like the groundsman at the Wanderers would do very well to just have a look and see how it's really done. What the Wanderers' performance does show is how little of Guardiola's experience he appears to have learned.
Yeah, I mean, just before we move on, I want to talk about managers. You mentioned there's no I in team as far as Arteta's concerned and all these things. And of course, this attitude that he seems to be having is something that everybody's levelled against Mourinho in the past. There was that joke, wasn't there, recently when Tottenham drew 3-3 with West Ham, and in the post-match interview he said, well, the first half was I was very good. It was Jose Mourinho 3, West Ham 0, and at the end it was Tottenham 3, West Ham 3, which is kind of the attitude that people expect from him. I mean, obviously it didn't happen, that was a joke, but that's kind of what Arteta almost literally said in what you've just been talking about. And that is not an attitude for me of a winner. to just go, well, it wasn't my fault. They didn't listen to me. They didn't do the right thing. I don't think he's got the maturity, and I don't think Ollie has either.
I'd like anyone who disagrees with us here to point out any instance of Guardiola blaming his players or Sir Alex Ferguson blaming his players. It was always us. We didn't do this. We didn't do that. You win together, you lose together, but not at the Wanderers, apparently.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain in saying that, yeah, Ferguson didn't rinse out his players in public, but you can be absolutely sure if they made a mistake, they were in that office on Monday morning and they were given a rollicking, a bollocking, but it was kept private. And then he would say to them, I'm imagining, right, you and I, we're going out, we're going to face the press, it's you and us, you and I against them. We're together, this is a team, but don't do that again, son. And I think that's how it was, and Arteta's been a little bit petulant.
Oh, very much so, yeah. I think he is extremely defensive in a time in his period as the manager there where he has no reason to be. You know, all his acolytes in the press are writing these puff pieces about how wonderful he is. So why is he being so defensive? You know, I thought it was just shocking, absolutely shocking thing that he said. I didn't see my team out there. Oh, awful.
Yes, that's passing the buck and actually washing your hands of all responsibility. I mean, managers want to be bigger and bigger, shall we say, stars or celebrities or focal points, but if you want to be that and you're going to be that, then you've got to take the rough with the smooth.
Maybe the groundsman would be better off looking at his tactics, buying Willian, then severely restricting him moving forwards. They've not moved forward since their game against Fulham. Only Palace, Newcastle and West Brom have had fewer shots than Arsenal so far this season. Arsenal's side have had only one more shot on target than Brighton. Brighton's issue is they're playing great football, they're not scoring goals. Defensively, they're one of the worst teams in the league. beIN Sport did a thing in the previous match against Manchester United where they showed the record of Unai Emery and the groundsman, and after exactly the same number of games, by every single measure except one, Emery was light years ahead of Arteta. And the only one that Arteta was better at is Arsenal had conceded, I think, 2 fewer goals. But Emery won more points, more games, scored more goals. Everything was better than under Arteta. Yet Arteta gets these puff pieces written by his toady acolytes in the press. Oh, it's just ridiculous.
Well, yeah, it's interesting you say that because there are certain managers that are loved by the press, and of course Jose is because, well, he's good coverage, isn't he? He fills papers and sells papers because he'll always say something controversial or funny or wrong, but he'll get the coverage. But there are certain managers that are loved by the press. Perhaps there are a lot of Arsenal supporting journalists about, and certainly Man United supporting journalists about, that's for sure. But with Arteta, it does seem he is getting a lot of credit, and always, the revolution, as you said, the project, as they all like to say. As you say, worse in all aspects, apart from one, than Emery, who got sacked. They are 11th in the league, 1 point ahead of West Ham, who have a better goal difference, +4. Arsenal have a -1 goal difference, and they're 11th in the league. They are 5 points behind Liverpool, 5 points behind Tottenham. Tottenham have a +10, so they're 11 goals behind Tottenham and 5 points behind, with just 8 games played. I don't see much of a revolution there. I don't. I mean, Arsenal would expect to be up, well, at least level with Chelsea on 15 points. They're 4 points behind Chelsea already.
Yeah, I think somewhere 4th, 5th or 6th was where I expected the Wanderers to finish this season, and I think they're on course to do it.
You think they'll finish even that high, even on this current form? But yeah, you don't beat Man United in what was a dreadful game. Was it 1-0 they beat them with a penalty one week and then lose to Aston Villa the next? And I know you're not a fan of Jose Mourinho's style. Tottenham lost their opening game to Everton. Tottenham were dreadful in that game, really, in many ways. They've not lost since. That's 7 league games they haven't lost in. They've lost 1 in the Europa League, but won all the others pretty convincingly. So that's a run of form. Not to lose in the last 7 games, having lost on the opening day. And Arsenal lose 1, win 1, lose 1, win 1.
Yeah, I questioned Arteta's appointment because I couldn't understand what he'd done at Manchester City that justified it. Reading the newspapers, nobody could explain what he was doing. There was some vague comment at the end that came out of City that he was responsible for sitting down one-on-one with players and talking to them, and sort of so he's a counsellor, is he, or something like that? that. But certainly it wasn't on the pitch. But we did find out later, of course, from after he was made manager of the Wanderers, that he waters the pitch. That's what he does. Yeah. So now we know. If you water the pitch, you too can be manager of the Arsenal.
If you're out at a gardening centre this weekend, any one of the people there pushing a trolley, they could possibly be a future Arsenal manager. Before we move on to the international games, I just want to talk about something that's been very, very strange this last week or two. First of all, it's VAR and it's offside. Bamford for Leeds thought he got, I think it was an equaliser before getting beaten 4-1 by Palace. He was onside, apart from his arm, which was pointing into the penalty area where he wanted the ball passed to, and was ruled offside.
But how can you be offside in a part of your body that cannot score a goal?
Well, this is the question. That's the first thing. VAR has gone mad. The rest of his body was onside. His arm, with his, you could see his finger pointing, and the ball was at the feet of the winger, so it wasn't trying to hit the ball with his arm or anything like that, and it was ruled offside. The ball was nowhere near him. He was pointing, I want the ball played there, and was ruled offside. That's wrong. And the other thing I wanted to mention is how many penalties are being taken and given, both in international and league games. There was a league game, Valencia, I think, was it, beat Real Madrid, and with 3 penalties. And then, of course, you've got Sergio Ramos missing 2 penalties in a Nations League game. But there do seem to be a lot of penalties happening.
Well, the two things are related, aren't they? Because if you can now be deemed to have committed handball when the ball hits your hand and it has nothing to do with you, then there are going to be more penalties, and that's what's happening. We had a situation 2 weeks ago where the ball deflected twice, the second time off the player's own leg up onto his arm, which he was taking out of the way, and that was given as a penalty. Now, what advantage was he attempting to get there, trying to get his hand out of the way of the ball? Now, as Keith Hackett, the retired referee, said, it's bringing the game into disrepute, and it is, because it's a farce. If that's a penalty, then forget about transition from attack to defence and all that good tactical stuff and counter-pressing and everything. No, just get your forwards in the penalty area to kick the ball against the player's arms and get a penalty for it. It's a farce.
Yeah, I mean, football's been made more difficult to enjoy and watch because fans can't go to the stadiums. I think, by the way, Geoff, talking of the whole COVID thing, in the very near and dystopian future that we are facing, I think elite sportsperson and footballer will be one of the most coveted jobs, because they seem to be the only people that are allowed to travel anywhere. The rest of us are not allowed to travel out of our village. But however, there does seem to be some very strange things happening. One thing I noticed watching the England game, which I want to come on to now, which was interesting, is that I thought England played very well against Belgium, especially in the second half. But one of the things I noticed was, with the no fans there and the international games not having this false background noise, crowd noise, you could hear the players running, and you can hear when they kick the ball. And because of the sound the ball makes and the sound they make when they're huffing and puffing and running around, those little flicks with the back of their heel from behind their head and then the long passes down the wing are actually a lot cleverer and harder than they look when you're watching it with all the noise and back, because you can hear what it sounds like when they hit the ball. The speed and the noise it makes makes it look more skillful because you can hear it happening.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I hadn't taken that from it at all. I do like listening to the players, listening to the chat from the players. I mean, because some of it's usually wonderful, actually, and there's a lot of it that's great fun too. But I think a lot of that will get filtered out by the TV, because it does come with some fruity language usually.
I watched Tottenham the other week on TV online, and during the game, one of the commentators said, "We must apologise for the fruity language you are hearing from the touchline from Jose and his team. Unfortunately, because this is a live game, we haven't got enough time to edit it out, so apologies for that, but you must understand this is a sport and there's a lot at stake." I don't think anybody watching that game cared about it, and I think sometimes, as you say, it kind of adds something. Well, let's talk about England. I watched England against Belgium, and I thought England were very good against all the odds. It was a bit like putting a brick wall in front of Usain Bolt and asking him to run through it, and the brick wall was put up by Southgate. He was actually making it harder for his own players. A lot of skill in that team.
Yeah, and there should be more skill in it. I really disagree, totally disagree with this idea. You set yourself up with 7 men behind the ball. You don't need 2 holding midfield players, you need 1, and that frees up another attacking player. Just imagine how well England would have done if Jadon Sancho had been wide right. And so what he's done is he's forcing Kane to keep coming deeper to get the ball. So there's one less problem for the Belgian defence to concentrate on. Oh, he's going away from the goal. Good, fine. That's what we want. So you have to ask Southgate, why are you doing what they want you to do? Why don't you have Grealish there, and Kane, and Jadon Sancho, and Mount? There you've got creative players who all like to move the ball quickly. They find the nice diagonal passes. They're always looking to go forwards. That asks questions of the defence. Why are you deliberately answering these questions for them? I was brought up in both football and rugby that the team that wins is the team that asks the questions. As soon as the opposition know what you're going to do, you've done half their job for them, and that is what Southgate did. He did half of the Belgian manager's job for him, and he does that all the time. And it's such a shame because we've got the creative players. Just imagine if we had that front four of Jadon Sancho, Grealish, Kane, Mount all playing together. Even Winks came on, and you know this will be hard to believe for the people who didn't watch it. But Winks actually made forward passes. You know, he passed the ball forward. I know it's very hard to believe, but he did. I despair that those players are better than that.
Yeah, watching the game, I watched it on Spanish TV, and the commentators were absolutely raving about Jack Grealish and the amount of work that Harry Kane put in. You talked about him tracking back. He does a lot of that for Tottenham, but it's not so much tracking back as going deep and bringing the ball out and pinging it to Son and everything. Here, he was tackling players to try to stop them going on to a goal-scoring opportunity. I thought Harry Kane was magnificent for England. Now, England didn't have a good game. They lost 2-0, both goals in the first half. Players got 6 out of 10 ratings in all the newspapers. I think there's a missing 1 or 2 there because of the tactics. They would have got 7 each or 8 each, but the tactics held them back. You can't have, you were saying Mason Mount was bombing down the left. Grealish was all over the pitch and played some, as I said, the Spanish commentators went wild for him, played some very, not only flair football, some very beautiful football, but the work rate of the lad is absolutely phenomenal. He, Kane and Mount were bombing up and down the pitch, but you've got 9 players behind the ball in your own half and 2 playing up front and 1 collecting the ball. By the time they've got 2/3 of the way up the pitch, there's nobody left. And those tactics of Southgate were shocking, I think, because all those players we mentioned are very good players. And if Harry Winks has to ignore the instructions and actually pass the ball forward, then we're in trouble, aren't we?
Yeah, I think what Southgate is trying to do is break this cycle of England putting a lot of goals past minnows, a sort of Cristiano Ronaldo type thing, and let's score loads of goals against Andorra, and then whenever he comes up against a good team, he concedes goals. He had the same formation against Iceland, who didn't even have a centre forward on the pitch, and he had 7 men behind the ball. He's fixated on not conceding goals. Now, that the teams that have won these big tournaments like the Euros or the World Cup in recent years have basically bored their way to the title. They set themselves up to be incredibly difficult to beat. They don't express themselves. They don't play with any flair, and that appears to be enough to do it. And France in the last World Cup is a perfect example of a team that bored their way to a title. Greece as well, exactly the same. We're not in the finals. Why aren't we trying to win the games? Why aren't we putting those flair players out and saying to the opposition, okay, what are you going to do against them? Because the opposition will be scared. Look at Jadon Sancho's numbers in the Bundesliga. It's phenomenal. He's an absolute mix of De Bruyne and Sterling. The goals of Sterling with the assists of De Bruyne in one player. Why would you not put him on the pitch? He's the best England player in Europe.
I mean, obviously Harry Kane is always going to be first on the team sheet. Jack Grealish, who we've said before, Southgate didn't want to play, deliberately played him out of position. Grealish was so good in that game, so good. And in the previous game against the Republic of Ireland in a meaningless friendly, that even Gareth Southgate came out and called him world class. He's now been pinned into a corner where he can't deny it. Because if you've got the world press, and as I said, these Spanish commentators were absolutely raving about him. And to be honest, Belgium were pinned back all through the second half. They had, I think, 1 shot. It was a very, very good shot, which Jordan Pickford actually saved. Beautiful commentary from the Spanish. They were right. Grealish was brilliant, and Kane never stopped working, but the tactics were dreadful.
Yeah, there is something that I think is interesting to look at. Look at Lukaku, who's 27 years old. Okay? How old is Harry Kane? Lukaku has got 57 goals from 84 international games. So he would be England's record goal scorer now. And he's only 27. So he's got at least 5-6 years at the top left. That is what happens when you have a manager who sets his team out to win. Your centre forward scores a lot of goals. Kane is 27, same as Lukaku. Lukaku's got 57 goals from 84 games. Phenomenal strike rate. Dries Merton, his stats overall is 127 goals from 327 games, a 40% strike rate. It's phenomenal. That's better than Diego Maradona, incidentally. This is what happens when you have a manager who puts his best players on the pitch, playing in their correct positions, and says, okay, go out, lads, let's play football. Let the opposition worry about it. And where are Belgium in the international standings? First.
Yes, I have to say, Lukaku, although in the second half Belgium sat back and played very much as England did in the first half with just one person up front, it was Lukaku who, right until the final whistle, did not stop trying to score a third goal for Belgium. It was clear England weren't going to score, even though they had 70% possession or whatever it was. They had twice as many passes. They kept coming at Belgium. The longer the match went on, the more clear it was that they weren't going to break through 9 people in Belgium's defence. But Lukaku, 3 or 4 attempts on target in the last 20 minutes. He kept going and going. And he looks brilliant. He does. He's a great player.
Yeah, he's got 28 goals for Inter. He scored 28 for Manchester United. But it took him 66 games for Manchester United to score 28 goals. He's got 28 for Inter from 42 games. Again, it just shows you've got the player. Play him in his proper position. Play him the way he needs to be played to. And that's the result you get. And it shows Southgate is... I don't know what he's trying to do. Look after his legacy before he's even finished, or, I don't know. To me, it's shocking. Really shocking.
Yeah, we think Southgate needs to go, replaced by somebody not only with experience, which is something, by the way, he doesn't have, but also somebody with some guts to go out there and say, show me what you can do, guys, because you're all very talented. He's tying their hands behind their backs. We mentioned there, of course, some of great players for England. Marcus Rashford, MBE, raising all that money to feed starving children in Britain. A bit of a hero in Britain. He's a hero of mine. Not something that I ever say about anybody. A national treasure, a campaigner for people who need campaigning, or for people who need to be campaigned on behalf of. During the summer, he fed 1.3 million children through his campaign for school dinners, and yet the papers won't have it, will they, Geoff?
Well, I don't think it's the papers. I think it's one particular one. If we can grace the disgusting rag with the name paper, it's the Daily Mail. Sorry, formally it's called the Daily Mail. I mean, he's a Daily Mail reader's worst nightmare, isn't he? A young black working class man whose appeal is not based on culture war or tribal loyalty or division, but he stands for unity, consensus, the common ground, everything in fact that the Daily Mail despises. He's got nothing to do with party politics. He rejects conflict. All he wants to do is feed kids. How terrible is that? And so now the Daily Hile has started a campaign against him, bringing up this supposed sort of contrary position that, he's talking always about poor people getting fed, and he spent 2 million on 4 houses. How did they describe David Beckham when David Beckham started doing similar things? He was doing a lot of charity work and investing in property. He was held up as an example to everybody. But because Rashford is black, the Daily Hile, the Daily Mail and their readers hate it, simply because he's black, because there is no other difference. And what crime did he commit? He bought houses for his family so that they wouldn't have to worry about having a roof over their heads. To me, that is it's a great thing. It's a noble thing, not something to disparage and to insult him about. So if you buy the Daily Mail, then shame on you. You should stop immediately.
Yes, I don't think there's anything I can add to that apart from, yes, the Daily Fail, the Daily Hile, this disgusting rag, this right-wing mouthpiece. There were 2 headlines. There was one from a few years ago, give David Beckham a knighthood for all his hard work for charity. All right, fine. And then next to that, you look at the headline, rich black kid buys £2 million worth of houses and claims to campaign for starving children. I mean, it's quite clear what the difference is. One is black and one is white. One is acceptable to Daily Mail readers and one is an upstart. It's racism. It's pure racism on the front page of a daily newspaper, so-called newspaper, and I think they need to be called out and being ridiculed and brought to book for it. And hopefully, this is getting shared around, this dreadful comparison. Hopefully something will be done about it. I mean, I don't know what they can do. You can't censor the newspaper or censure the newspaper, can you?
Well, no. I mean, it's owned by a man who inherited his hundreds of millions from his father when his father died. One of the leading sort of fascists in the world, and who cares only about making himself much, much richer than he was before, and his newspaper sets out to make that happen. So why are we surprised? A man who is incredibly closely involved and financing both Brexit and this COVID-19 farce.
Shame on people who read that newspaper, shame on people who quote it or use its headlines to prove points. And big up and well done to who is a marvellous young man, Marcus Rashford, 22, buying his family houses and helping to feed children. What a hero. Before we go to the games coming up, Geoff, and do our predictions, just a quick word for Ray Clemence, who died this week at the age of 72, possibly one of the greatest goalkeepers of the post-war generation, as they're calling him. A glittering record of success. Tottenham, of course, he was at Liverpool. He won a lot with Liverpool. Tottenham did win something, the UEFA Cup, I think it was, while he was there, but he was on the bench that day. But absolutely brilliant. He was a big figure around the England setup after he retired, specialised in as a goalkeeping coach. MBE for his services to football. I mean, he was respected by everybody, wasn't he?
Yeah, and for my money, going through the period where he and Shilton used to alternate as England's goalkeeper, I always thought Clemence was the better goalkeeper. Always, never rated Shilton very highly. And if you want to know how highly I rated Shilton, it's about as high as he got off the ground against Maradona, or as low as the ball that squirmed under his body when Poland qualified for the World Cup instead of us. But Clemence was great, and he invented the goalkeeping position that we all recognise today, the sweeper keeper. That was him. That's why Shankly brought him in. When Shankly decided that he wasn't going to win the European Cup with Larry Lloyd as a central defender and with Tommy Lawrence in goal, he brought in Clemence as a sweeper keeper. And, brought in Alan Hansen, Thompson as ball-playing defenders. So Clemence just invented this position. And he was a great goalkeeper. He was a seriously good goalkeeper. And by all accounts, from the people I know that have met him and spoken to him, he was a lovely, lovely man.
Yes, so our thoughts go out to Ray Clemence, his family and friends, and a great loss to the footballing community, as they say. Right, let's have a look at what's coming up this weekend. We're on Saturday, Newcastle United against Chelsea. Another routine Chelsea 2-0.
Not sure about routine, but I think they should. Let's say 2-1.
And then Brighton, who got a point playing Burnley 0-0 last time out. Brighton on away at Aston Villa, who of course do have Jack Grealish.
Well, I mean, Villa are going to go into that very great confidence after their previous result, and Grealish personally, I can't see much down for Brighton there. Another 3-0 might well happen. Burnley Palace. Oh, yeah, that's got ball draw written all over it. God, I don't know. No, let's be positive. Burnley will start to click. Burnley will come good. 2-0 to Burnley.
Burnley against Crystal Palace is the pick of the day, and I use pick completely wrongly. It is really a bad game, possibly, that one. But yeah, I think you might be right. Fulham against Everton. Fulham desperately need a win, of course, and Everton haven't won in a while, so that again could be very cautious.
I think Everton have got to start coming good again, so I'll have them down for 3-1. 3-1 to Everton. Next match is Liverpool-Leicester City. Oh dear. That should be a great game, actually. I really, really don't know. 3-2 to Liverpool.
Yeah, I think that will be an exciting game, that one, definitely. I'll go for a Liverpool win as well. Then we've got Manchester United against West Brom. Time for Ollie to consolidate his position at United by getting another win.
Yeah, I think it will happen 2-0.
Yeah, I don't think there's much for West Brom, as you would say, in that one. And then this is an intriguing one. Wolverhampton Wanderers against Southampton. Just interestingly, in the Portuguese squad, they played a friendly against Andorra for some bizarre reason. They were one of the scorers was a Wolves player, but they had 5 Wolves players in the Portuguese squad. I don't know if that means Wolves are very good or they've got a lot of Portuguese players, but both. But Wolves against Southampton, who are also looking very good. We're top of the league for a short time this last weekend.
Wasn't everybody, except apart from Fulham, obviously. That could be a very interesting game. 2 very, very good young managers whose teams attack very, very well. That'll be a fascinating game. 2-2. And the late game, Tottenham Hotspur against Manchester City. Honestly, anything could happen in that match. You'd have to say with Tottenham's attacking players, they're going to score because City's defence is not. It's not convincing yet. It's getting better. So you'd think they're going to score. Have City got enough firepower up front to 2-1 to Tottenham, I think.
Well, I hope you're right. I mean, I hate the international break for many reasons as a club fan. Harry Kane, he must be absolutely shattered after the performance or effort he put in, especially against Belgium. As we're recording this, England have got another game to go, and we're out of the Nations League, so it's a pointless game. They might as well cancel it, but he'll play again for some bizarre reason, probably. So he'll be shattered. But on the other hand, Gareth Bale got some more time in his legs and played for Wales, provided the assist for the only goal in their win over Scotland. So it swings and roundabouts, but there'll be a lot of tired legs out there, and I think Tottenham might just do it.
Yeah, I don't think it's tiredness that's causing the problems. It's repetitive strain injury in the muscles that's become the issue. So I don't think Kane is going to feel tired. He's playing well, so he'll feel confident and he'll play 97 minutes if they want him to, and happily do it. The question is the long-term injuries that they're building up all the time. Most footballers are injured most of the time, and people don't realise this. Nearly every player comes off every match injured in some way. What happens after half or 2/3 of the season is it gets too much for them. What we're seeing now is being brought forward because of the compression of the games. It is a significant problem, but I don't think it manifests itself as tiredness. Tottenham and Kane will be okay, I think. I just don't think Man City have got enough to score 2 goals, to be honest. Sheffield United against West Ham. With the way Moyes sets West Ham up, he's going to set them up 8 players behind the ball to defend the might of Sheffield United. He's going to invite Sheffield United on, so I think Sheffield United get 3 points out of that game. Probably 2-0.
I don't know, I see a draw in that one. And then finally, Leeds United against Arsenal. I mean, Leeds got well beaten by Crystal Palace, so that's not a good sign. But on the other hand, Arsenal got beaten by Aston Villa, so it could be a draw. But I think Leeds might edge that 2-1.
Yeah, I think Leeds will win as well. I'll go for 3-1.
All right, well, those are the games that are coming up. We're just about out of time, but it is time for your trivia question and the answer.
Right, okay. It was one for the oldies, and if you understand the first 5 seasons of the European Cup final, you would have got one of the answers here. So why was the 1961 European Cup final notable? There are 2 reasons. The first one, which most people should get, it was the first European Cup final that Real Madrid did not participate in fact, win. And second, it was the lowest crowd in the history of the European Cup or Champions League. Only 26,732 people turned up to watch Benfica beat Barcelona 3-2.
Wonderful, yeah. What a strange couple of circumstances there. What with the first time that Real Madrid didn't win it, and secondly, the lowest turnout, strangely. Is there a coincidence there? Who knows? But brilliant, well done, thank you very much. We'll be back next week with more Hitting the Bar. If you want to find us, we are on Facebook and Twitter. I'm Chris Karle.
And I'm Geoff Saunders.
And that was Hitting the Bar, the football podcast.